This game showcases of how you can change this game from the defense to domination and then end with the result you want. My opponent started with c4, e5, g3, knight c6. Typical English opening, which I really did not expect that much as he played a lot of variations on the internet and I didn't know exactly what he would play. So he played bishop g2, I played knight on f6, knight c3 and a5. a5 is good move. Also was possible to first play bishop c5 and after e3 then play a5 or just play d6 etc. But I wanted to play a5 in order to play bishop c5 next and not to allow white to play a3. a3, bishop c5, e3. And castle, normal position I have, knight g2, rook e8, just the idea not to let d4, castle, and d6. The idea here is to develop my light squared bishop to play bishop e6, bishop g4, etc. and just get normal position. I knew that my opponent would play d4 here, so I could not do anything else. And then I would just simply play either bishop e6 or bishop a7 and I was feeling fine here. He played d4, well, I took it. Would be also possible to play bishop a7 instead of taking on d4, but I still wanted to open this e-file. So that's why I took on d4, and plus this d4 pawn would become weak. Bishop b6, which is inaccuracy. Would be better to play bishop on a7, not to allow any c5, knight on a4, and then start doing other moves. But I played bishop b6. Bishop e3 and bishop g4. Here I struggled a bit, as I did not get the position I wanted. I expected that I would get good attack on d4, etc. But when I calculated after bishop on e3 that knight g4 was not doing anything, like he would just simply play bishop f4, and if queen on f6, there's knight d5, and this pawn is not hanging. So here I realized that this position is a bit worse for me, and I should have been careful here not to lose this game. I had some options like to play h6, bishop g4, etc. and I played bishop g4. And he found a really good move, h3. Well, here I had so many options like bishop h5, bishop f5, bishop e2, but still my position is worse. I didn't want to trade this bishop to this knight, which would be the best move, but I played bishop d7. He played queen d2. I expected he would play g4 to push this pawn, and I can't really take on g4, I don't get anything. And after h6, just rook on e1, and my opponent is dominating this game, and I'm defending. And I couldn't do anything else. But he played queen d2, just allowed me to play h6. Queen d2's idea was probably to play bishop g5 next, but I played h6 and rook e1. And I did not think that he would have any plan here instead of this move. I would say he should have played like c5 or queen c2, but he just simply developed rook and played on e1. And I played here knight on e7. The idea is to give him this pawn on b7 and then take on h3, which he did not do. And then next I wanted to play c6 if he would not take on b7. So I felt that knight e7 would be a good move here. g4 and c6, simply blocking this bishop to diagonal. g5 is already a mistake. That's why, even though I was in defensive position, still, even if you're defending, you should play as best as you can. That's why sometimes opponents make mistakes, and instead of winning these games, they are losing, or instead of making draws or transfer this advantage into something better. So that's why it happens. So anytime defense is as important as attack. So he played g5. He just probably started being nervous here because he didn't know what to do instead of g5, and this is the moment when it started going good for me. I took bishop g5 and I play knight on h7. Great move, as I did not think if I would have any other options like knight on f5 or knight g6. I didn't want to let this knight to be pinned, and I had great move knight on h7, which I did, and he played bishop on f4. And now eventually I'm getting good position, as now my pieces are started developing. So I played knight on f5, he played c5, and I took. With c5 is mistake. I really did not see what was the idea of c5. Probably he should have played knight g3. And usually in this kind of positions, opponents are starting being narrows. So that's why they start making this kind of mistakes. Like, I don't know why he gave me this pawn. I took, and I took on c5, and now I have perfect position. I have extra pawn, and from worst position, I got almost winning. Knight on e4, and I played bishop e6, just simply protecting my bishop, rook d1, and bishop e6. Now it's absolutely winning. Queen c3, queen on h4, I don't want to lose my queen. Knight g3 and knight g3. I think there was other options like to play knight on g5 to attack this pawn on h3, but well, I think knight g3 is fine also. Bishop takes g3 and queen on h6, which seems like mistake. I was actually looking like moves like queen c4, queen on f6, and I think this would be the best because after queen on f4, I would just simply trade queens and then I have extra pawn. Queen h6, knight on f4, bishop f5, and he played knight d3, which is mistake as I'm winning another pawn. I took with queen and knight e5 and then knight g5. The idea here is just simply to take on e5 and play knight on f3. That's why tactics are important. Do tactics every day as much as you can. Rook d7, and actually when he played this move, he first did not play, he just touched rook, and then he brought rook back, but then still he played rook d7 even though he knew that it was mistake. And here I played brilliant move, rook on e5, which stopped this game, as after queen on e5 there is knight on f3 checkmate, bishop e5 there is knight on f3, and I'm just winning here queen. So this game was really interesting, and I'm so glad that I managed to be good on time and I didn't lose on time, and same time I managed to save this game, and from defense I became dominant on this game. So, and hope you enjoyed with this recap, and make sure to give thumbs up and subscribe my YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments if you liked this game.